This week, the market handed us one of the worst sell-offs since October 2025. It was driven by the geopolitical shock I suppose nobody saw coming, the Greenland tariffs. But if you think the volatility is over, you're probably wrong. Next week is kind of the Super Bowl of the stock market. We have very important things coming up. We have the FOMC rate decision cut on Wednesday and earnings from Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, and Apple within a 48-hour window. So today we're going to go over the general market. We're going to look at those heavyweights, and we're going to prepare for potentially one of the most volatile weeks of 2026 yet. So looking in the rearview mirror, what happened? President Trump basically threatened 10% tariffs on 8 European nations and escalating it to 25% if Greenland is not sold to the U.S. This triggered a quote-unquote sell America trade and spiked volatility. Secondarily, the Japanese bond yields, the JGBs, crossed 4% for the first time in decades. So this ignited fears of carryover unwind, similar to August of 2024, forcing funds to sell U.S. tech to cover yen debts. And then also Netflix, they had a beat on revenues, and also subs were pretty decent as well, but the stock still dropped 5% on the week. So we have a pretty important week coming up, so let's get to it. Let's prepare. SPX, you can see this is the cash index. This is what I was talking about this is Tuesday the 20th, closed down 2.06%. Here, this was a pretty volatile day. It moved from the open to the close nearly 3%. However, that's not based on the actual close from the prior day, which was Wednesday. So the actual close and the loss was 1.56%. And then this prior close to this day close is 2.72%. So this is what I'm referring to right here in late or in early October 2025. This is one of the worst days on Thursday relative to that. So you can see that we're still holding. Everything's uptrending. The 50 EMA is uptrending. Price is now over the short-term EMAs. We're only 1% away from all-time highs. On the week, we only we closed down red 0.35%. Monthly, we're still up 1.02%. Year to date isn't any different. So far, it's not that bad. However, you should still be cautious, and we'll go over the reason why. Again, it's very similar to last week. RSP still looking good, pulled back to the 8 EMA today, and got bought up. The NASDAQ cash index prices over the anchor VWAP from all-time highs. It's still chopping around the 50 EMA. It's not going anywhere. Why? Because this is mostly tech. All the heavyweights that's moved this. So you can see that the NDX, the NASDAQ, the QQQs, they are lagging the SPY. If we go to equally weighted, it's the same story. They're lagging. They're chopping around. They're not doing anything. Looking at the Dow, this is also chopping around. I was saying last week, watch this level for a breakout. It looked like it was going to because it was testing it so much. We got that gap down on Tuesday, kind of ruined that idea. But overall, it doesn't look broken. It's just kind of resting, chopping sideways. IWM, Russell 2000, this got hit today for 1.85%. You can see we got a nice little topping tail on Thursday, so that could have been our signal for a follow-through day today. But overall, it broke out. It's in the nice uptrend. It's still holding the 8 EMA. There's nothing to be fearful of for the Russell 2000 just yet. XLK, so I have these again ordered by weight of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. XLK, last week, I was saying you got to be careful. You got to be cautious of the market because this is not doing anything. It makes up 34.4% of the S&P 500. NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, those are the top names. This is just chopping around in range. It undercut these lows. So technically, maybe this 146.90, the opposite end range, could be the next target. It could be an undercut and rally. But really, we have to wait and see. It's hard to know. So tech is still lagging. The story is still the same as last week. Financials got hit. This is most likely because, or at least the carry on of getting hit, was Trump attempting to put on a 10% top on interest rates for credit cards. That's probably why one reason Robinhood is getting hit as well. So be mindful of that. So these are downtrending. I wouldn't be shocked if we hit the 200 EMA, that 52.32. We'll see if we get a little pop, maybe create a higher low Maybe we hit this low around here, 52.69. Overall, it looks like it needs some time to digest and maybe find an actual bid. This is just downtrending right now. So go look at these names: Berkshire, JP Morgan, Visa. These are the top three names of this. So if they move however these move, XLF will move. Let's go communications. It got hit, right? And then it had a nice little bounce back thanks to Meta and Google, especially today. They look pretty decent. If you want to extend this downtrend line, you can make it say, hey, broke the downtrend line, came back, retested it, and broke it out, or got a little push off of it. You can make that argument. I don't put too much weight into that. This is looking decent so far. We'll see what actually happens when it's in this range. Let's go XLY. XLY breaking out of this range here. It's only 1.5% away from all-time highs. So it's moving back to all-time highs. Amazon was looking good. Tesla got a nice little push. Home Depot, I didn't look at that before I did this. That looks pretty solid as well, right? So all these names, they are moving up. So XLY is moving up. XLV, it found a bid at the 50 EMA. Now it is again over the short-term EMAs. A nice push on Wednesday after the news on Tuesday. And honestly, it looks like it's going to start. The trend is going to continue on. If you want to put an anchor VWAP from this high, we are over that anchor VWAP. So Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, these are the big main movers that make up this sector. And they make up not these three names, but this sector makes up 9.8% of the S&P 500. So it's an important one. It has a decent weight to it. XLI, 8% of the S&P 500. You can see it broke out. It's trending against right along the 8 EMA. Doesn't look too bad. It's having a hard time breaking this 167 level. Maybe a pullback to the 20 EMA is coming, maybe even the 50. We shall see, but here are the names for you to look into there. XLP, we got a nice little breakout here of this level. This was prior resistance. I'm going to drag this over for you so you can see it easier. We're still technically in that resistance zone, but Walmart, Costco, Procter & Gamble, those are the guys that make this up. And so this has been an absolute tear, a nice move. I wonder what kind of percentage we're looking at here. Within 10 days, 8.25% of a move, not too shabby. It was a beautiful time correction to let the 8 EMA catch up. Kind of came close to it, and now we get a nice little pop today. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got some sort of continuation into Monday on this. XLE is being talked about everywhere right now. Energy, if you want to zoom out, here is a big old base that it is testing highs to, and so it makes up 2.8% of the S&P 500. Exxon, Chevron, and Conoco, they make up a huge portion of XLE here. Heading into resistance, but overall, probably later on this year, maybe in the next couple to a few weeks, this breaks out, retests, and maybe continuation on. So we might have a breakout in XLE coming up, just not yet. I'm not confident in this yet to initiate a trade. We do have some nice volume being reported and shown here. But it's 4 weeks up. It's kind of stretched into prior resistance, so the chances of it holding aren't the greatest. So it's getting a little extended on the daily. Either way, it looks good. Just the timing you need to be a little bit more patient, in my opinion. This right here, XLU, this is it's holding the 200 EMA, which is flattening. It's basing here, just staying in range. Nothing in particular. Utilities here, but it's not getting hit anymore. If you want, you could draw a downtrend line here and watch for the breakout of this kind of a triangle, descending triangle here. It can either break to the upside and go, or it can just as equally break to the downside and go. We don't know. Or option 3 is just chop around and continue to do nothing. So just be prepared for different scenarios. XLRE, real estate, chopping around in this range, not doing anything. XLB, this has been pretty darn strong. This is materials. Lind, Newmont, and CRH Public Limited Company make up a good percentage of this, but this doesn't really move the S&P. It's a 1.7% of the S&P 500, so it doesn't really do much to it. However, we got the breakout of this range here, and now we're actually hitting all-time highs. We hit all-time highs and closed at all-time highs today. So maybe keep an eye out on XLB and names within that sector if you trade those. Let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we were looking at it last week. There's the weekly. So it was looking promising over this level, but it was kind of a look above and fail. It was not able to hold these levels here. This 95,000 level that was pretty important to a lot of people came close to the 200 EMA, which is now on a decline. Kind of failed. So now it's back in this range. We really just have to pay attention to see if it holds this range. If it doesn't, 75K is still possible. This is got hit on some volume here. Now it's chopping sideways. You might call this a bear flag potentially. I don't know. It might break down this weekend. It could break down further into next week. Either way, Bitcoin is a no touch for me at the moment. XBIs continue to look pretty darn good. Holding up it's holding the uptrend. It was kind of consolidating, not doing anything, and now we made a definitive higher high. So we just need to make sure we manage and monitor to see if it holds it. SMH, NVIDIA had a pretty decent week, or at least a nice pop, I should say. TSM, and then AVGO. I just closed out my short today in AVGO. I didn't want to risk it over the weekend. It was a nice 1.5 hour trade, so I want to take my gain there. But either way, you can see that it's just trending up the 8 EMA, so that looks pretty good. Gold is absolutely insane. I'm not buying it up here. I'm actually looking for a potential short into next week or the next couple weeks. I don't know. It's going to be hard, but what I'm looking for is a gap up, and then it sells back into the prior day range, setting a topping tail, and then you can set a stop loss if you enter short just above that topping tail. The challenging thing is you can see how gappy this is, especially when over the weekend, and even intra week, right? This Tuesday to Wednesday, you had a pretty decent gap here too. So it's risky if you do it. Maybe do it small. Similar. Let's go to GDX, the miners. Those are absolutely ripping. All the gold and silver, they're just kind of being parabolic right now. So I'm looking for shorts, but when, that's going to be challenging. And if you should do it stock wise, ETF wise versus options premium paid is another conversation. We can look at copper, gold miners, same thing. So metals are just ripping. They're kind of going parabolic. UNG, that's popping because of this polar vortex we're getting in I think it's northeast. I'm in where I'm at right now. It's like negative 10 degrees, so it's very cold. But it's getting a nice little pop. I don't think it's sustained. We don't think it's going to be sustained. And that is that. All right, let's move on to the heavyweights. I lost it. Heavyweights. So Microsoft, again, earnings on Wednesday. Okay. This broke down from this consolidation, and now it is retesting that. So I would not have faulted somebody for entering a short here and risking it like if it was selling off the high of day or setting a stop loss somewhere within here, because this is a breakdown and then a retest. So if you're going to enter a short position, this could have been the area to do so. Long EMAs are down, short-term EMAs, long-term EMAs are now pointing down. Maybe the 200 starts flattening out and it continues to work its way, but overall, this doesn't look good. This is a double top here, broke those lows, consolidated. Now it's making lower lows. So I do think the 396.66 gap fill is still a potential. It just depends on how earnings go. So we need to pay attention to guidance and what they say on an earnings call. And then maybe a little specifics on AI and AI usage. Let's go to NVIDIA. NVIDIA continues not really to do anything. It's holding where it needs to hold. It's chopping around. It undercut this level, then it rallied. But really, it's just this zone of 192 to 182, call it, just to make it easy, that it won't break out of right now. So we'll see. Earnings aren't up until it's not this week. So we ain't going to worry about it. Apple hitting the 200 EMA. So I was calling that last week. We probably have the 200, this gap fill coming up. So we got that um, after my discussion last week. Where this heads from here, I don't know. It still looks pretty darn weak. Again, we have earnings on Thursday p.m. after close. So if you initiate a trade in this, I would highly recommend, not financial advice, but what I do is not hold trades through uh, binary events, which you can get really hurt if you hold through earnings. So I don't hold through earnings. I don't recommend anybody do it, but that's not financial advice. You do you. But either way, this can go either direction here. We could have a little bounce to this area, this 255, maybe even up to the 20 EMA, or it can continue down if it breaks these lows. If it gets that, I'm looking for the gap fill of 234. So we have the anchor VWAP here from this prior high that's down here. I don't think that's that important, actually. I'm going to remove that. So Apple, not looking the greatest overall. Amazon, still looking decent, and it's holding where it needs to hold. We do have estimated earnings on Thursday. I guess that's not a for sure thing, because looking at earnings whispers, I didn't see it on here. So I don't know what TradingView is reporting there. Yeah, Amazon's not on here. So I'm not sure what that's about. I guess we got to keep an eye on Amazon. But overall, tech-wise, technical analysis-wise, it's holding where it needs to hold, just not really doing anything. AVGO, I was saying, hey, I'm looking for a gap fill last week. I initiated a trade yesterday on this bar, anticipating a break of these lows and potentially getting a full gap fill. It kind of got the gap fill with the 200 EMA tag. That's what I was targeting. I didn't get it today, and I did not like the risk of holding it over the weekend because I wasn't going to lock in my one-to-one risk. At least I got 1.5. And then, if it gaps up against me and then I lose 1.5 and it goes green to red, that's not a good trading habit. So I took my money and ran, and I will reassess next week. We'll see how things open. But overall, this still looks pretty weak. It still looks like it wants to get the gap fill, the 200 EMA tag. We'll see. Netflix, this is on watch for next week. Now that we have 2 days after, we want to see what happens after it has had enough time, 2 to 3 days after earnings, to see what happens. My target of $82, it was hit. That was, this is pretty obvious, right? So if it's downtrending, everything looks down. You just look to see where the prior support was. So we might get a little bounce from here. We could bounce to the 20 EMA and then set another area to short this, or we wait to hear news for the buyout and maybe it finds a bid, chops around, and starts turning back up. Either way, it doesn't look good. I'm not into catching falling knives. I think that's a falling knife. Tesla looks good. Got a nice little pop, probably from Elon talking at the World Economic Forum. I think that's what it is. Yeah, WEF. I think that's what it's called. Either way, nice little pop, but overall, look, it's not doing anything. It's been in a range since September of 25. So once it breaks, I think this is going to be a nice mover, but it has not broken yet. Google, I don't want to. This is just holding the highs there. Has a nice little downtrend. I would wait for it to break either way. Has some time to digest here. Either way, it looks pretty good. This is most likely going to be a leader this year, I think. Overall, we just need to be patient and wait for things to set up. But overall, I would look for longs there. CrowdStrike, I took a loss on a short earlier this week on CrowdStrike. I got tagged out the next day, which was fine. It was whatever. But I still think this is short. We broke this range. We are not this range right here. We are now under it, accepted under it. This area has a potential supply area. So this could be an area to short in. I would, if on further market weakness, I would be still looking for a short with a target of 403, 402 area. ServiceNow, this looks terrible. This has also been getting hit, but I did say last week, you do not short down here. If you're trying to short this, it's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It has like 8, 9, 10, slightly exaggerated, but a lot of days in a row that it has been sold down. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red days in a row. 8 out of 9 days in a row were red. You don't short on that stuff. And especially you don't short when It's that extended down into support. So I was anticipating a bounce. I was actually anticipating a bounce here. It just kept melting through. So anticipating a bounce at the next obvious level, which we did get. Where does it go? I don't know, but I'll be looking for another short opportunity around 133.34 at the 20 EMA since it closed above the 8. So I think that is a potential that'll be pretty close to this price support area as well. Palantir, I think we just got new price targets from Citadel, 185 to 235, something like that. So that's pretty nice. This is not a higher low. This is a lower low now. So we shall see what actually happens. You can draw a little down trend line here if you really want to, but ideal, this is bigger picture here. It's just staying within this huge range, not really doing anything. It's a pretty large range. If you're good enough, you could trade the ranges, but I don't do that myself. Choppy EMAs, indecision. Hood, Robin Hood. I think this is getting hit because of the credit card news. Last week I said target a 200 EMA is coming up. We got close to it. This is not looking good though. Nice, pretty strong topping tail here. Under average volume, but overall topping tail at downtrending short-term 8 and 21 EMAs. 50 EMA is now coming down. Ideally this $95, $100 level holds. If that doesn't, per my rules, I'm gonna have to close out my long-term account. I don't hold names that are holding underneath the 200 EMA then start downtrending. I'm not about to do that. So there are better places to be to rotate into if Hood does not hold and spends time underneath the 200 EMA. All right, economic calendar, as well as talking about. Today is Friday, so let's move to Monday, the 26th. We have durable goods, all this good stuff. Let me filter it to the most important things. Durable goods, Monday, Fed interest rate decision. There are talks out there that he's done cutting. So previous 3.5 forecast, 3.75 forecast, 3.75 consensus, 3.75. So we're anticipating no change. So just pay attention to see what he says during the press conference and see if he's hawkish or dovish. That'll give us an idea. And then Friday, we have the PPI. Earnings, here's another shot for you here. Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, LRCX. It's a pretty popular name on X right now, but not super important. Apple, very important. MasterCard, very important. Visa, very important. ExxonMobil, very important. Sophie, it's just a popular name though. American Express is important. What else here? American Airlines, RTX is a bigger one, UPS is a bigger one, Boeing is a bigger one. So we have Starbucks, ADP is an important one. GEV, it's an important one, especially energy-wise. So it's an important week for earnings. We have volatility coming up. So prepare, manage your risk, comment, like, questions, interact here. Share your thoughts, share your ideas, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for your time. Later. Trade well.